One day were Seamus followed by 5 space pirate ships. They were tracking her because she had taken something they had been looking for, some sort of treasure. She was going heading over to the Galactic Federation, but as the ship was followed by them, they attacked her ship over and over. But thanks to her ship's shields, she was able to survive the attacks. But, but as each attack of her ship was going on, her ship was losing shield strength for almost every second. And soon she would no longer have any shields. And she would have to do something. She could not just jump into hyperspace because her hyperspace generator was damaged. And that means she had to do anything quickly for to be able to escape from these pirates. Then she saw a nebula just a short distance. She knows that nebula often always disturb or somehow disrupt sensors on ships. So that means they won't be able to detect her. And she hopefully be able to hide somewhere in the nebula and even to be somehow repairing her hyperspace generator in order to manage to escape in hyperspace before they find her. But she arrived to Nebula. But she was not as easily thought believed that she had hid herself. Some of the pirates managed to detect her just before she was about to hide herself within there, and that caused her ship to become even more damaged. But suddenly, as she had hid herself there for nearly maybe 20 minutes, she managed to repair her hyperspace generator. At the moment when she was about to leave, two of the ships of the space pirates detected her. As she was about to jump into hyperspace, they both actually fired at her ship. And at the same time when she's still very much deep inside the nebula and jumped into hyperspace. And it was causing this huge explosion. And the space pirates believed that they had destroyed her ship at least. And after this explosion had faded, they were scanning in the area after any sort of objects had some part or partially from their treasure. But the treasure was completely gone. There was no trace of the ship. It was like the ship never existed. But they didn't give up though. They searched in the area even more and more closely, but no trace. And at the same time, when they were searching, Seamus woke up. She woke up on her ship and she looked around and tried to activate the ship, but every system on the ship was completely shut off. Nothing was turned on. She tried several times, but nothing. She left the ship in her suit. She believed that she was somewhere in space, but after that she found from the window she was on a planet, apparently. But from which planet she had no idea. Without the ship's computer system working, she could not pinpoint exact location where she were. So without the computer on board, she would not have an idea where she went up. Somehow she left the ship and she found this deep forest with tall pine trees and some leaf trees in the distance. She saw this animal life like deers, rabbits, and birds, and it concluded her suit showing that the atmosphere was actually breathable, so she left at that. She started exploring in the area, just only for a short distance when leaving, just to be cautious. Since she had no idea where she were, and she didn't go far though, because she went back shortly afterward back to the ship and looked for the ancients. Unfortunately, The damage that the ancients took was beyond repair. She didn't have any skill or any technology or the tools to repair the engines. And apparently, some of the other systems on board were also damaged. Some of the part, some of the ship's electrical network was also damaged. The life support system apparently worked, but barely on less than 40%, which was not strongly. She wouldn't. She even if she would be able to leave the planet where she were, she had no idea where to go, since the life support was working on just 40%. And without the engines, even sublight technology was the sublight engines on board was still working. Only less than 50% though, but it would take her years to reach the nearest planet or the nearest star base or outpost or something. Unfortunately though, communication systems also completely were damaged. But she managed to get some after almost several hours at least some of the power back on. But since that she was unable to leave the planet, she would have no idea where she were. The navigation system could not pinpoint any location. Without the sensor array that onboard ship couldn't be detect any at all. As the night came, she thought maybe using the stars as a pinpoint for exactly location. But as the night came, she used the stars on the sky in a star map in the navigation system to try to pinpoint from every local planet that she had in a database. But nothing. Nothing at all. This planet was completely unknown to the ship's computer. In order to save more power, that she turned off the computer and everything on board, since she didn't even need the life support. Since it was a breathable planet that she were on, so she didn't need the life support. But she didn't leave her ship for long, because even during the night she sat outside and had made some campfire. She still had some rations of food left behind on her ship, which would last for her for at least about a week or so. But if you ration on it, it could last maybe 2 to 3 weeks. She was hoping to be found, perhaps by someone within some times before that. But the next day, she had decided to explore more of the area, just to find perhaps anything, signs of civilization or people. Despite the there was an enemy planet, but she was one thing that she had hope that this planet didn't have any space pirate present. That would have been a big mistake. Because if she did find those space pirates, it would have cost her life. Because the treasure that she still had was they were been looking for. But the next day she looked around the area even further away. But so far no signs of any humans or any settlements. Just forests and forests for miles. She even came up on a small hill in the forest. As far as she could see, forest, some mountains in the distance, but basically no signs of any civilization at all. So she decided to stay there for a little bit longer. And this pretended to be longer lasted for nearly several months. This had ended up almost staying her for at least 4 months in this place. And by that time, her food supplies on the ship had run out months ago. But luckily for her, she was able to find a river nearby with some fish and able to trap some animals like rabbits, deers, some meat, and fresh water to some drink. But there was just one thing though. She had no idea what to do, because since she had no idea what she were, no signs of any civilization for a long way, as long as she can see, she had no idea. But one day, she heard someone was walking through the forest. She saw a girl, or at least a girl about the same age as her. She didn't know expect to do so, because this girl was just strange looking. She had never seen anyone in this particular, at least this particular outfit before. But there was something about this girl that she could not put it. It was like she was very strange though. She was carrying a weapon. One particular weapon that she didn't have seen before. At least partially before. It was this huge sword. Almost like had 6 feet long or something. She had never expressed to find anyone able to handle that kind of sword before. She was hoping that this girl would not see her, but she was noticed by this girl, who, for some reason, just only raised her sword and looked at her, and she demanded to know who she was. Seamus, though, she only had she didn't have any of her advanced weapons anymore. She only had a laser weapon, handle one, but its power ran out 2 months ago, and now she only had a simple knife and a bow arrow. She had to remake some primitive weapons in order to get some hunting, some food, and also perhaps even somehow defending herself. She explains that her name was Samus Aran, and she crashed in the area. And this girl later in the drill revealed her name to be Byleth. Revealed that she said, "Crashing? How? What? Are you flying from the sky or something?" Seamus didn't know exactly how to explain this. Yeah, but judging her clothing, she thought maybe this planet wasn't even advanced enough to even know what spaceships were, or perhaps even any flying machines. She tried to explain that where she were flying in new type of transport, but it kind of crashed in the forest and she was lost and she had no idea what she were. And though this girl Byleth, she didn't buy it much, and she demanded to know and to see this strange flying transport that she had talking about. Seamus, though, she didn't want to express, trying to reveal the truth, but what else can she could do? She couldn't just run away and hide somewhere because she had no idea if this girl knew more about this forest than her. Because who knows, maybe she lives in the area somewhere else. Who knows though? So, but all that she did was reveal the truth. She said, "Follow me," and she did. But this girl Violet, though, she didn't hesitate to hold her weapon close, ready to be attacking if this shameless girl was leading her to some ambush or something. But as they walked closer to the ship, Violet was just very surprised, but mostly astonished. She explained that she has never seen anything like it. This transporter, what it's called, was made of metal, and there's some odd shape of the design. And then she demanded to know exactly what it was and where Seamus even coming from first. Seamus couldn't lie anymore, so she explains. And then Violet explains that this world was something that she never expressed to. After that, after they'd been talking for nearly about an hour or so, both had decided to at least stop argument about some things like anything, and their friendship has started from that. Violet still told her that Seamus actually lived in the area in a small camp. She provided Seamus with some new food, like some with some fish or other type of meat, like sheep or other things that she can need it. And then, of course, Violet then asked if she wanted some help to find the closest town, which Seamus said yes. But she could just leave her ship behind without anyone knowing find it. So the only thing that she could do was take out the treasure that was apparently gold bars, and she managed to activate her ship's self-destruction mode. And when they were in a short distance away, both heard this big explosion. This entire explosion had somehow vaporized entire ships so there were nothing any trace of it. The treasure though, Seamus decided to keep it for herself because it could be needed for somehow paying for something as a payment. As Byleth explained that they still use gold for any basically. So Byleth took her to nearest town and they were about to take apart when Seamus asked if Byleth wanted to stay some longer, perhaps at least be her guide, because since she had told her this truth about her. So Byleth explains that she could do that, but then though Seamus asked if she needed to pay her for her services. Byleth said no, she could do this for free. So for the next couple of days, Byleth had showed her around the town, which apparently she had been in before. And she told her more about her past and how her mother died when she was young, and her father was part of the Knights commander apparently, but left to be a mercenary. And since then, she has been traveling around herself. She has barely been in any human contact lately because she mostly lived in the forest. But she had no problem to spend time with other people. Sometimes she preferred to just be alone. And after that, they have been spending some more time for only about a week. Byleth had decided maybe it was time to move on, and Seamus, she decided to stay in this town because this was more a place where she could stay though. But about a month later, Byleth came back to town because she was back on traveling and she decided to stay in this town and was just surprised to see that Seamus was still there and it was apparently going well for her. Seamus had opened some sort of small store where she sold sweets and other things that the people could need it. And of course, this sparked the friendship to be stronger. Byleth, since she had no place to stay, Seamus allowed to stay her in her place, which she had no mind to. Byleth's place staying was only supposed to be for only for about a few days, but it apparently ended enough for from a week to at least 6 months. This is staying went up when Seamus had offered her to stay there because she had no more where else to do though, because since they became really good friends. And the gold that Seamus had would have lasted. She had to fix it to coins. So Seamus would have gold coins for the rest of her life, including from her small shop, which also very profitable, which means she makes a lot of profit from. But during this time, there was something about this world that Seamus didn't really expect it. There were some strange magic in the world as well, because she had must have realized sometimes after she noticed that people did some magic or something, or at least magical creatures, sort of thing. She realized, what if that her time against these pirates, causing her hyperspace generator to somehow open a rift, not only in space and time, but to other dimensions or something, which would not normally wouldn't happen, but somehow it did. But during her staying with Seamus, Byleth has actually started to like her more and more, and they turned out to be soon been dating. They were not much as against this entire idea of dating. They were living together, and they both started liking each other more and more as a friend. But there was something about Seamus that Byleth did like. She was always honest about her past, what she liked to do, sort of things, and that took their relationship to a step further. And within a few months after they'd been dating, They have actually been talking about something else though. Seamus had bought a small house just only outskirts of the city, of the town, where they both decided to live. They could not get married though, because there weren't any much big church or priest in the area, and the nearest one was about 4 days travel. So, but they decided maybe they could make it as a word. So they traveled to this town and in fact had a small wedding. And they stayed there for about a few days as a honeymoon, and they went back. But after barely 2 years, they wanted to have a family. So they decided to maybe adopt some children from a local orphanage, which they did. They adopted two daughters by age 10 and 8, and later they adopted a son by age 5. Both of them were really surprised how much their differences, like from different two different worlds, but their love for each other was so strong and passion. Byleth was really strong in fighting skills like Seamus herself. But there was something about Byleth that Seamus liked more than anything. They had so much things in common. They like to protect others, and no matter what happens, their love for each other only grew stronger for each single day, though. But there was something about their relationship that both of them liked. They had so much in common. Their love for each other was so strong that only grew stronger. And that's how Seamus Aran and Byleth are a true love got a big family. The end.